In the rush and busyness of life, we often become swept up in worries and distractions. These not only disturb the mind but also cause us to lose sight of our true selves. Life is short, like a leaf falling in the winds of impermanence. But even amidst the chaos, if we turn inward and seek refuge in our own hearts, we can find true peace, and see clearly the bright path that guides us through a life full of challenges. Today, let us reflect on the affirmations and positive thoughts that can change our lives in the new year. These are not empty words or fleeting promises, but rather lessons drawn from Buddhist philosophy, the firm foundation for the development of the soul. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have taught us, all achievements originate from the mind. When you plant seeds of trust, wisdom, and patience, it is you who will reap the fruits of peace and happiness. The affirmations we speak to ourselves are not distant ideals, but the path to return to our true nature, where purity and wisdom reside. In this journey, we will explore together 9 simple yet profound affirmations. They will be the light that guides the way, the torch that ignites belief in ourselves. No matter how many storms life may bring, as long as we keep our hearts steady, we will see that every challenge is a valuable lesson that helps us grow stronger and wiser. Let us quiet our minds, let go of attachments, so that every word in today's story can sink deeply into our hearts, helping us open the door to a meaningful new year. This may not be an easy path, but it is the path that leads to liberation from the fleeting suffering of human life. I hope that through these words, you will find the motivation and peace to move forward confidently on the road of life. Lesson 1: Inner Strength, the source of all growth. In the busy and impermanent life we lead, each of us has, at some point, asked the question, who am I truly? This seemingly simple question marks the beginning of a journey to explore the depths within ourselves. In order to recognize our true nature, it requires great awakening, the courage to face ourselves, and, above all, the belief that within us lies an infinite inner strength. As you reflect on your life, you may be accustomed to identifying yourself by roles, as a father, a mother, a child, or a worker. You often define your worth by your social status, your success, or even by the opinions of others. But have you ever wondered, if you were to remove all these labels, what would be left? The Buddha once taught, all beings have Buddha nature, but it is obscured by ignorance. This means that our true nature is purity, the capacity for awakening, and wisdom. Yet, because our minds are clouded by delusions, afflictions, and attachments, we lose sight of ourselves and forget our true value. When you remind yourself, I am the best version of myself, this is not an arrogant statement but a recognition that you carry within you unique qualities, latent powers to change and grow. Try returning to yourself with a moment of stillness, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, what is the most important thing in my life? The answer may not come immediately, but the act of asking this question is the first step toward realizing your inner strength. In Buddhist philosophy, inner strength is not something mysterious or foreign. It is the ability to master oneself, patience, and compassion, qualities that help you overcome all challenges and obstacles in life. It is like a lamp that always burns, but is covered by a thick layer of dust from greed, anger, and ignorance. Your task is not to create the lamp, but to clean off the dust that obscures it. Life has its ups and downs. When you encounter difficulties and failures, it is easy to fall into feelings of inadequacy or self-doubt. But these are merely natural reactions of the mind when facing challenges. Remember, failure does not define who you are. Your worth is not diminished by the mistakes you have made. On the contrary, it is precisely these difficulties that offer you the opportunity to see your true inner strength. Reminding yourself, I am the best version of myself, means that you appreciate what you have accomplished and continue to achieve. You do not need to be perfect, for perfection is but an illusion. What matters is that you know that every day, you are striving to be a better version of yourself than the day before. Imagine a small stream flowing through the mountain valleys. The water is not always calm. Sometimes, it has to pass over large rocks, or deal with dry stretches. But it is through patience and perseverance that this stream can erode even the hardest rocks, carving a path for itself. You are like that stream, strong, resilient, and always finding a way to overcome adversity. A short story from the Buddhist scriptures can illustrate this. Once, the Buddha encountered a farmer who was despairing because of a failed harvest. The farmer said, "Master, my life is full of suffering. My harvest has failed, my family is in discord, and I feel worthless. Is there any way for me to escape from these troubles?" The Buddha smiled and replied, "My good man, everyone has 83 types of suffering in life, and no one can escape them all. But what is important is that you learn to see the light within those sufferings. Every time you overcome one suffering, you will become stronger. Your inner strength does not come from avoiding difficulties but from how you face and overcome them. Every time you fall, it is an opportunity to learn how to rise stronger. Every time you experience failure, it is an opportunity to cultivate patience and wisdom. However, inner strength does not stop at overcoming personal difficulties. It also involves the ability to extend compassion to those around you, to be willing to help others, even when you are facing your own challenges. When you share, your inner strength is multiplied, and you will experience a greater sense of peace. So, how can we nurture our inner strength? First, you need to practice mindfulness, living in the present, without allowing the past to weigh you down or the future to cause anxiety. Spend time each day in meditation, return to your breath, and feel the peace within yourself. Second, forgive yourself. The mistakes of the past are not burdens you must carry forever. See them as lessons, and understand that each new day is an opportunity to begin anew. Finally, remind yourself, I am the best version of myself. This does not mean that you do not need to improve, but that you are on a path of self-improvement, step by step, with patience and self-appreciation. May you always maintain faith in yourself, knowing that the strength you seek is not far away but lies within you. When you realize this, all suffering will become valuable lessons, and all challenges will be the steps that elevate you to a higher level in life. Lesson 2: Overcoming the limits of oneself. Amid the struggles and suffering of life, have you ever asked yourself, what holds me back, preventing me from moving forward? Is it the failures I've experienced, the judgments of others, or the invisible fear that lurks in my mind? Could it be that I, and no one else, have built these invisible walls, trapping myself in a narrow comfort zone? The Buddha taught, no one can save you but yourself. You are the light that guides your own way. The limitations you feel are, in reality, creations of your own mind. They are like ghosts that do not exist, yet they confuse you and rob you of your confidence. If you can shift your perspective, break down those barriers, you will realize that your potential is limitless. Start by affirming, I can do anything. This is not an expression of arrogance or self-comfort, but a declaration of the potential within you. Every person is born with a vast source of energy and a strong will. But to unlock this potential, you must have the courage to step out of your own comfort zone. In the Buddhist teachings, there is a story of a lion cub who was lost among a flock of sheep from the moment it was born. It grew up, living like a sheep, believing it was as weak as the others. One day, an old lion passed by, saw the cub, and wondered why a lion was living with a herd of sheep. The old lion took the cub to a stream, pointed to the reflection in the water, and said, "Look, you are not a sheep. You are a lion, the king of the jungle." Only then did the cub realize its true nature and begin to live in accordance with its inherent potential. This story gives us an important lesson. Many times, we trap ourselves in false beliefs about who we are. We think we are not good enough, not strong enough, not smart enough to achieve something great. But these thoughts are not the truth, they are just ghosts in our thinking. So how can we overcome the limits we have set for ourselves? First, you must understand that all limitations stem from fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of losing what you have. But the Buddha taught, fear is the darkness that clouds wisdom. When wisdom is illuminated, fear naturally vanishes. Think back and ask yourself, how many times in your life have you been afraid to do something simply because you feared failure? How many opportunities have you missed because you feared you weren't capable? But the truth is, failure is not the end, it is part of the journey of growth. Each time you fail, you lose nothing. On the contrary, you gain valuable lessons that bring you closer to your goal. Imagine you are standing before a high mountain. You feel fear because you think you cannot climb to its peak. But as you begin to walk, step by step, you will realize that the path is not as difficult as you thought. Sometimes, it only takes one small step to open up an entirely new path. Mindfulness is a precious tool that helps you overcome your fears and limitations. When you live mindfully, you are not swept away by negative thoughts, and you do not allow fear to overpower your mind. You focus on the present moment, on what you can do right now, instead of worrying about what might happen in the future. Another important point is that you must have confidence in your abilities. The Buddha once said, "Light the lamp for yourself and walk." No one can walk your path for you, no one can live your life. You are the only one who can decide which path you will take. To practice this, start by setting small goals and accomplishing them step by step. As you achieve a small goal, you will feel more confident to pursue larger ones. Just like a meditator, who initially finds it difficult to sit still for a few minutes, but over time can meditate for hours with profound peace. The Buddha also taught that growth does not come from avoiding difficulties, but from confronting and overcoming them. Life is like a river. If you stand on the shore without daring to step in, you will never experience the refreshing coolness of the water. Remember that each time you overcome a limit, you not only expand your own capabilities but also inspire those around you. When you dare to live fully, when you step out of your comfort zone, you become a shining example for others to follow with courage. I sincerely hope that you will always remind yourself, I can do anything. Believe that you possess all the abilities and strength necessary to overcome any difficulty, to achieve great goals, and to live a meaningful life. Lesson 3: Shaping the Future from the Present. In the ever-moving flow of life, have you ever wondered, what will the future be like? Many people often worry and fear the unknown, as if the future is an endless night with no way out. But the Buddha taught, the present is the cause, and the future is the result. Your future is not something random, it is the inevitable consequence of what you do today. Imagine that you are building the house of your life. This house is not made of fanciful thoughts or distant desires, but from each specific brick, your actions and attitude in the present. Every action, every word, and every thought you plant today is like a brick, whether firm or shaky, determining the stability of that house in the future. The Buddha once used the example of a farmer to illustrate the creation of the future. The farmer, desiring a bountiful harvest, must prepare the land, choose good seeds, and tend to his crops diligently. If he is lazy, wishing for a good harvest without planting or caring for the crops, all he will have is barren land. Similarly, if you want a bright future, you must start with concrete actions in the present. Remind yourself, my future is bright. This is not a hollow consolation, but a responsible affirmation that you hold the key to unlocking the door to your future. When you trust in that brightness, you will be motivated to plant good seeds, do benevolent deeds, and live a more meaningful life. In the scriptures, there is a story of a man who came to ask the Buddha, "Venerable Buddha, how can I know that my future will be good?" The Buddha replied, "Look at what you are doing today. If you live mindfully, do good deeds, and avoid evil, your future will naturally be as bright as the morning sun." The men realized that the future is not something far off, but rather a continuation of what is happening in the present. One of the key qualities that help you shape a better future is gratitude. Gratitude is not just for the grand things, but also for the small things in daily life. Being thankful for each morning you wake up, for the ability to live, breathe, work, and love. Gratitude is how you recognize the value of what you have, which in turn creates motivation to preserve and develop it. Patience is also an indispensable key. The future is not created overnight. Like a tree that grows from a seed, it needs time to take root, grow, and bear fruit. There will be times when you feel weary and want to give up, but remember that everything worthwhile requires time and effort. The Buddha once said, "Just as water drops can fill a jar, so too, a wise person's gradual cultivation of good deeds will lead to lasting happiness." This means that even small actions, if done consistently every day, will accumulate into a great result. To apply this philosophy to your life, you can begin with simple steps. 1. Live mindfully. Focus on what you are doing rather than worrying about the past or future. When you pay attention to the present, you will accomplish everything with greater awareness and effectiveness. 2. Plant good seeds, do good deeds, even small ones like helping others, speaking kindly, or simply keeping a smile on your face. 3. Set clear goals, determine what you want to achieve in the future and make a plan of action. Each day, do something small that brings you closer to that goal. 4. Learn to let go. Do not let past failures or mistakes discourage you. Treat them as lessons to grow from. 5. Nurture gratitude. Every night before going to bed, take a few moments to reflect on the things you are grateful for that day. This will help you realize that your current life is already full and worth cherishing. When you live with gratitude and patience, you will realize that life is no longer a series of worries and fears but an opportunity to experience, learn, and grow. Your efforts today are the solid bricks that will build a bright future. Remind yourself, my future is bright, and start acting today. The vast sky, with countless opportunities and joys, is waiting for you ahead. Chapter 4. Give your all, live fully. Human life is a series of opportunities to plant seeds and reap the harvest. To contribute and receive. But amidst this ceaseless flow, have you ever asked yourself, am I truly living fully? Have you ever been so absorbed in a task, a mission, or a moment that time seemed to stand still? This is the state of true dedication, when you live with passion and purpose, without calculation, without stopping. Remind yourself, I will give my all. This is not just a promise, but a way of facing each day as a precious gift, to live fully, work fully, and love fully. In the Buddhist scriptures, the Buddha once told the story of a little sparrow. When the forest was engulfed in flames, the sparrow, though small, tried to use its wings to dip in the river and bring water to extinguish the fire. The larger animals in the forest mocked it, "You are so small, How can you save the entire forest? The sparrow replied, I know my strength is small, but I cannot sit idly by while the fire is burning the place where I live. At least, I will do my best. This story reminds us that dedication is not measured by the scale or immediate result, but by the heart and sincere effort. When you give your all, even in the smallest tasks, you not only enrich your own life but also spread meaning to those around you. The Buddha teaches that each person carries within them a mission, a noble purpose that only they can fulfill. But to find that purpose, you must ask yourself, why was I born? The purpose of life is not something preordained or given, but something you discover through dedication and experience. Some find meaning in helping others, like a teacher educating poor children, a nurse caring for the sick, or a worker laboring to support their family. Others find purpose in creation, research, or spreading spiritual values. Regardless of the field, when you give your all, you will experience fulfillment and peace. Many people think that giving your all means achieving great success. But in the spirit of Buddhism, dedication is not for seeking external recognition but for living true to your own essence. Look at the Bodhisattvas, like Avalokiteshvara or Ksitigarbha. They do not practice the path to be praised or worshipped, but out of compassion and a vow to help all beings escape suffering. Similarly, when you work with all your heart, not for fame or results, but because you believe in the value of what you do, you are living in the most meaningful way. Do you remember the last time you were completely immersed in something? It could have been when you read a book, cooked a meal, or cared for plants in your garden. Those moments, though small, make you feel complete, as if the world around you disappears and only you and your task remain. This state is a sign of true dedication. The Buddha called it mindfulness, which is full concentration in the present moment. When you work with mindfulness, not only do you do better, but you also find joy in every action, no matter how simple. Many people think that dedication is only for grand deeds, like saving hundreds of people or changing society. But in truth, every small action you take, if done with a full heart, has value. Look at a mother caring for her children, a janitor sweeping the streets, or a vendor working to make a living. When they work with love and devotion, they not only do their job well, but they also contribute to the harmonious functioning of society. To live fully and give your all, you can apply the following practices. 1. Understand your purpose. Identify what is most important to you and devote time and energy to it. 2. Focus on the present. Do well in the small tasks in front of you, rather than dreaming of the great things you are not yet ready to do. 3. Avoid comparisons. Do not compare your dedication with others. Everyone has their own role and ability. 4. Embrace challenges. True dedication inevitably involves difficulties and failures. See these as opportunities to learn and grow. 5. Spread positive energy. When you give with enthusiasm, you will inspire others to do the same. When you live with passion and purpose, each day becomes more meaningful. You will not only find joy in your work, but you will also feel a deep connection with life and those around you. Remember, dedication is not an obligation but an opportunity to discover yourself, develop your potential, and spread value. Live fully, work fully, and love fully, so that when you look back, you can smile and say, I have lived a fulfilled life. Lesson 5. No excuses, only action. In life, there are moments when we stand before a choice, to act, or to sit and justify our inaction. Excuses are like a thin veil, clouding the truth and causing us to forget the true strength within ourselves. Yet, action, even in its smallest form, has the power to transform any adversity, open new paths, and change destiny. The Buddha once taught, the world is not changed by empty words, but by sincere actions that are compassionate and courageous. When you say, "There are no excuses," you are choosing to live responsibly, to live proactively, and to recognize that all the outcomes in your life arise from your own actions. Look at your own life. How many times have you said, "I cannot do this because the circumstances don't allow, I will start when the conditions are right," or, "It's not my fault, it's someone else's"? These excuses may seem reasonable, but in reality, they are like invisible chains that imprison your freedom and creativity. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha teaches, the weak always blame circumstances, the strong take control of their destiny. When we make excuses, we surrender the control of our lives, handing it over to external factors that we cannot change. Contrary to excuses is the acceptance of responsibility. Taking responsibility is not about self-blame or carrying a burden, but about reclaiming your inner strength, about realizing, "I can do this differently. I can start again." In the story of the Buddha's life, there is a profound lesson from the moment he chose to leave the palace. Born into royal luxury, protected by his parents and the court, the Buddha could have justified his life by saying, "I have everything. I don't need to change the world." But he did not choose that path. He took responsibility for the suffering of all beings and placed himself on the path of seeking the truth, unconcerned with comfort or danger. It was this acceptance of responsibility that led to his enlightenment, and he became the guiding light for millions of beings. When you dare to act, you not only change your circumstances, but you also change yourself. Action is how you overcome fear, doubt, and laziness. In a small village, there was a farmer who went to the fields every day with calloused hands, sowing seeds and tending to each row of crops. One day, a great storm swept through, destroying his crops. The villagers told him, "Rest. In this weather, how can you farm?" But the farmer simply smiled and replied, "I cannot wait for better weather. I will act today, for only through action can hope be born." And indeed, months later, when the weather was calm again, his fields were the first to bloom, while others were still waiting. Action, no matter how small, carries the power of transformation. When you act, you are telling the universe, "I am ready. I commit." And the universe will respond to that commitment with opportunities and results beyond your expectation. People often blame circumstances, others, or even themselves. But blame never solves anything. Instead, focus on solutions. In Buddhism, there is the concept of karma, that every action you take creates a result, whether good or bad. If you find your life facing difficulties, instead of blaming, ask yourself, "What karma have I created? What can I do right now to transform this karma?" Right action not only helps you overcome difficulties but also creates good karma, bringing happiness and peace in the future. However, action should not stem from ambition or personal desire. The right action is that which arises from compassion and understanding. Look at the Bodhisattvas. They act not to gain fame or power, but to help all beings. When you act with selflessness, you will not feel tired or disappointed, for you are not bound by the result. The Buddha teaches, act like a gardener tending to plants, not expecting instant fruit, but simply doing what needs to be done. Practicing no excuses in daily life. 1. Face the truth. Ask yourself, what am I making excuses for? What is preventing me from taking action? 2. Break down goals. Sometimes excuses arise because the goal is too big or overwhelming. Break it down into smaller, manageable steps and begin with the smallest. 3. Accept mistakes. Remember that mistakes are part of the journey. Do not fear mistakes, for they are opportunities to learn and grow. 4. Act now, do not wait. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Start now, with what you have. 5. Create motivation from within. Instead of waiting for others to push you, ask yourself, what makes me feel meaningful? What can I do today to move closer to my goal? When you say, there are no excuses, you are choosing the path of courage and initiative. This path is not easy, but it leads to true freedom and happiness. Remember, action not only changes circumstances, but it also changes you. Lesson 6. Accepting the imperfect journey. In each step of life, who among us has never stumbled? Who has never stood amidst the shattered pieces of hope, wondering if we can keep moving forward? But in Buddhist teachings, stumbling is not what should be feared. What is truly fearful is when our hearts are bound by despair, when we lose the drive to rise again. The Buddha taught, the path to enlightenment is not about reaching a destination, but about returning to oneself, step by step, on a road filled with challenges. Life is an imperfect journey, but every day we have the opportunity to improve, to transcend ourselves, and to reach the light of understanding. In the experience of human life, mistakes are often viewed as something negative, a sign of failure. Yet, through the light of the Dharma, mistakes are seen as a natural and essential part of the journey of growth. We must view mistakes as lessons, as opportunities to explore the truth about ourselves and the world. Remember the story of the young monk in the Buddha's time. During his practice, he accidentally made a grave mistake by hurting a fellow monk. Ashamed and distressed, he decided to abandon his studies and run away. But the Buddha sought him out and said, a mistake is not a reason to turn away from the practice, but rather an opportunity to understand more deeply the nature of impermanence and compassion. Every mistake is a step on the path of truth, if you know how to turn around and transform it. From that moment, the young monk was no longer afraid of making mistakes. Instead, he used each mistake as a foundation for correction, for learning, and for progress. Life is like a river, sometimes calm, sometimes turbulent, sometimes clear, and sometimes murky. None of us can predict where that river will flow, but we can choose how to steer our boat. Once, a disciple asked the Buddha, "Venerable Sir, why is it that I try so hard to practice and yet still feel I am not good enough? Why do I always face difficulties on this path?" The Buddha smiled and replied, "Look at the bamboo tree outside. Every day it grows, but do you hear it complaining that it grows too slowly? Life is like that. There is no perfection immediately, only growth, bit by bit, over time. Be patient, for patience is the path to steadiness." We are often obsessed with the image of perfection, with the standards that society imposes upon us. But the truth is, none of us were born perfect. Even the Buddha, before attaining enlightenment, went through periods of delusion, challenge, and failure. He abandoned the path of extreme asceticism not because it was a failure, but because he understood that the middle way was the right path. Remind yourself, I am getting better every day. This is not an excuse to overlook mistakes, but rather a confirmation that each day we have the opportunity to learn, to correct, and to be better than we were yesterday. There is a story about a potter who spent years perfecting a beautiful ceramic vase, yet every time it was fired, it cracked. He began to doubt his own ability, thinking he was not worthy of being an artisan. But instead of giving up, he decided to embrace the cracks, filling them with gold, to make them unique. And those imperfect vases became works of art admired by the world. Likewise, every crack in our lives is an opportunity to shine, if we know how to perceive and transform them. On the path of practice, patience and gratitude are two virtues that cannot be ignored. Patience helps us stay steady in the face of storms, without being swept away by temporary emotions. Gratitude helps us appreciate what we have, even the hardships, for they are valuable lessons. Look up to the night sky, where small stars still shine through the encompassing darkness. Similarly, the small efforts you make each day, though sometimes seemingly insignificant, contribute to the light of your growth. When we think that we must reach some perfect destination, we are more likely to fall into discouragement when we do not meet expectations. But the Buddha's teachings remind us, the goal of the path is not the destination, but the journey itself. Live with the mindset of a practitioner, always exploring, always learning, and always open to what life brings. The Buddha once said, "The journey to find the truth is the truth itself." Therefore, love yourself, be grateful for all that you have gone through, and continue walking, even if the road is rough and challenging. Each step you take not only helps you grow but is also a part of the journey that leads you toward enlightenment. Lesson 7: Awakening to the Great Purpose of Life. Have you ever asked yourself, why was I born into this world? Does my life have any meaning? These questions are not unique to any one person, they have been the shared contemplation of humanity since the dawn of consciousness. In the light of the Dharma, the answer is not found in the superficial values of the external world, but in a deep awareness of the true nature of oneself and one's role in the endless flow of interdependent causes and conditions. "I was born to do great things" is not a boastful declaration, but a statement affirming the unique value of each individual in life. Each of us carries within us hidden potential and a unique mission. Recognizing the purpose of life not only helps us navigate the path ahead but also imbues every step with profound meaning. The Buddha taught that each person has a role, a place in the grand tapestry of the universe. What matters is not becoming like someone else, but clarifying our true self and our mission. Consider the story of Siddhartha, a wealthy merchant who would later be known as the Venerable Anathapindika. From his success in business, he realized that wealth and fame did not bring true happiness. He sought out the Buddha, listened to the teachings, and understood that his life's purpose was not to accumulate wealth but to use his resources to help the poor and the destitute. He donated all his wealth to build the Jetavana monastery, which became the largest center for the spread of the Dharma at that time. From this story, we see that the purpose of life is not always clear from the start. It requires exploration, reflection, and sometimes stepping into the unknown. But once found, that purpose becomes a guiding light, leading every action and thought along the way. Once we have discovered our life's purpose, the next important step is how to live in accordance with it. To do this, we need two qualities: determination and compassion. Determination helps us overcome obstacles, the temptations that cause us to stray from our path. Just as the Buddha endured 6 years of harsh ascetic practices in his search for the truth, he never gave up on his mission, no matter how difficult the path became. He remained steadfast in his vow to find a way to liberate all beings, and ultimately attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. Compassion ensures that our life's purpose does not turn into a selfish goal, but rather keeps the welfare of all beings at its center. Like a lamp that does not only illuminate itself but also lights the way for others, a great life purpose always seeks to bring value to the world. Many people think that to do great things, one must perform grand actions that make a big impact. But in the light of the Dharma, greatness does not lie in the scale of an action, but in the sincerity of the intention behind it. A small act, when motivated by compassion, can have immense meaning. Consider the young novice monks in the Buddha's community. They may not have the means to perform grand actions, but through their dedication, they help maintain the pure and peaceful life of the monastic community. One young novice, sweeping the leaves in the monastery grounds, is not simply cleaning the earth, but also purifying his mind with each mindful movement. Likewise, you do not need to change the entire world to fulfill your life's purpose. Start with small acts, help someone in need, offer words of encouragement to someone who is sad, or simply strive to live well each day. These small acts, when done with sincere intent, will gradually bring about profound change. In the midst of a life full of uncertainties, we may sometimes lose our way in the darkness of ignorance, fear, and anxiety. It is in these moments that our life's purpose becomes the light that guides us, helping us overcome challenges. There is a Buddhist story in which a king asked the Buddha, "Venerable Sir, if I were to lose everything, my throne, my wealth, my family, what should I do to avoid falling into despair?" The Buddha replied, "If you understand that the purpose of life does not depend on what you have, but on what you give, then you will never lose the meaning of your life. In any circumstance, you can still live a great life. A life's purpose is not something that can be taken away by external conditions. It lies deep within the heart of every individual, a source of inexhaustible energy to overcome the storms of life. Remind yourself each day, I was born to do great things." This is not a hollow slogan, but a firm affirmation that you, like all beings, have a unique value in the flow of the universe. The Buddha once taught, each being carries within them the seed of enlightenment. That seed may be small, but if nurtured properly, it will sprout and grow into a great tree that provides shelter for the world. Therefore, never doubt your own value. Remember that you were not born to live an ordinary life, but to discover and fulfill the noble values you carry within you. Lesson 8: Confidence in oneself, overcoming the opinions of others. In life, we are constantly confronted with opinions, judgments, and evaluations from those around us. These may come from family, friends, or even strangers we encounter in society. Each person has their own perspective, standards, and views. These words can sometimes motivate us to strive harder, but at other times, they may cause us to waver and lose our way. The opinions of others do not affect me is a powerful affirmation, not only to resist criticism or condemnation but also as a profound reminder to trust in oneself and the intrinsic value within. In the Dharma, we learn that all beings are equal by nature, without distinction between high and low. Each person carries within them a Buddha nature, a seed of enlightenment. However, life is full of changes, and external words can lead us astray if we are not grounded in ourselves. Confidence in oneself is not arrogance but a clear understanding of who we are and the mission we are fulfilling in this life. The story of the Buddha serves as a vivid example of overcoming societal judgment. When he was still Prince Siddhartha, he lived in a palace filled with power and wealth. Yet, he did not feel content, realizing that these external things were not the true path to happiness. He renounced his luxurious life to seek the truth, despite strong opposition from his parents and everyone around him. They could not understand his decision, considering it a foolish act, an unfilial departure from his family. But the Buddha did not waver. He knew that his journey was not to please others, but to seek the truth and attain enlightenment. This story teaches us an important lesson: the opinions of others do not affect me. The Buddha proved that if we live only to please others, we will never find true peace and happiness. When we are confident in ourselves and trust the path we have chosen, no one can shake our resolve. Confidence is the first crucial factor in overcoming the barriers of society, especially when we face differing opinions. Confidence is not arrogance, it is a deep awareness of one's worth and an understanding of the path chosen. In Buddhism, we learn to recognize and face our emotions and thoughts with mindfulness, not allowing them to control us. Mindfulness, as the Buddha taught, is living in the present moment, clearly perceiving what is happening without being distracted or influenced by the judgments of others. Confidence is the expression of mindfulness in our daily lives. When we live with mindfulness, we do not allow the opinions of others to disturb our minds. We do not let praise or criticism from society define us. We know that our value is not determined by others, but by ourselves. Through our actions and compassion. The story of Anathapindika, the great benefactor of Buddhism. One exemplary story of confidence in Buddhism is that of Anathapindika, a wealthy merchant and great benefactor of Buddhism. He was the one who built and donated the Jetavana monastery, where the Buddha frequently taught. Despite his wealth and power, Anathapindika never allowed his riches to make him arrogant or lose his confidence in doing what was right. When he realized that supporting the Dharma was a noble and meaningful act, he did not hesitate to disregard the whispers of those who did not understand the Buddha's teachings. He was not concerned with what others thought of him. He focused solely on his noble goal, contributing to the spread of the Dharma and helping all beings. This serves as a testament that confidence in oneself and one's mission is not easy, but it is necessary if we wish to live a meaningful life. When we have a clear goal and firm determination, we will rise above all words, all criticism, and live with compassion and inner peace. In daily life, each of us faces criticism and judgment from others. Sometimes, these remarks can hurt us. But if we know how to respond, they will not affect our peace of mind. The Buddha taught, the criticism of others can only harm us if we allow it to affect our minds. When we live with mindfulness, we recognize that such words are merely external reactions, not absolute truths. Every person is entitled to their opinion, but their opinion does not define our value. We should not allow praise or criticism to influence our confidence. When we understand our intrinsic worth and live according to our path, we will not be shaken by the words of others. One of the key elements in maintaining confidence is to love oneself. Buddhism teaches us about self-respect, meaning to care for and love oneself, while also understanding the invaluable worth we carry within. This love is not indulgence but appreciation, gratitude for life, and acting with compassion to benefit both ourselves and others. When we love ourselves, we will not seek validation from others. We know that we have value even if no one acknowledges it. This enables us to live freely, not dependent on the judgments of others. As the Buddha taught, true freedom comes from the liberation of the mind from the constraints of the external world. Confidence in oneself and not being swayed by the opinions of others is one of the most important lessons in life. Only when we understand our true value, live with mindfulness, and cultivate compassion, can we overcome all obstacles and live a life of peace and happiness. Lesson 9: Cherishing every moment. In the impermanent world, time is the most precious gift that each of us possesses. It flows continuously, never returning, and once a moment is gone, it can never be reclaimed. Every passing moment is part of our life, a priceless gem that we must learn to cherish. Life is truly precious. This is a reminder that the Buddha imparted to us, a profound affirmation of the value of each and every moment in life. We often hear this phrase, but how many times in our lives do we truly appreciate the value of each moment? Every morning when we awaken, and the light of dawn shines, do we realize that each new day is a fresh opportunity? Every time we sit down for a meal or take a walk amidst nature, do we recognize that these are all precious moments, and if we do not live them fully, we will miss them. Through its teachings on impermanence, Buddhism affirms that every moment in this life is constantly changing and will never return. One thing we easily overlook in our busy lives is the value of the present, the value of the moment we are living in. This forgetfulness is often the reason we cannot fully appreciate life as it is. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha taught, time is like a river, it flows constantly, and no one can go back to capture the moments that have passed. Time never stops, never waits, but flows unconsciously, like a great river, beyond our grasp. The Buddha emphasized that we must make the most of the present moment, for we do not know when the river of time will carry everything away. There is a story about a Zen master who lived in a remote monastery deep in the mountains, where there was nothing but pure nature and time flowing quietly. One day, a visitor came to see the master and asked, "Master, I wish to learn how to live in peace and serenity. Can you teach me something?" The master gazed at the guest thoughtfully and pointed to the hourglass on the table. "Look at these grains of sand," the master said. "Each grain is a moment in your life. If you let them slip through your fingers without paying attention, those moments will be gone forever. You can only live fully if you learn to cherish each grain of sand, each moment you hold in your hand." The guest understood that life is not about distant goals or grand events. Life is about the small moments, the complete presence in each second we live. Every moment, whether small or simple, is an indispensable part of our existence. In Buddhism, mindfulness is one of the key elements that helps us cherish every moment. Mindfulness is being awake, being fully aware of what is happening in the present. When we live in mindfulness, we become aware of everything around us without being distracted by the past or future. Gratitude is also an essential factor in helping us appreciate life. When we are grateful for what we have in the present, we find that life becomes richer and more complete. Gratitude is a path to happiness, for when we are grateful, we no longer yearn for what is not ours, and we no longer feel lacking. Instead of worrying about things that have not yet happened, we live in gratitude for what we already have. There is a story in Buddhism about a farmer who lived with gratitude. Every day, as he went out to the fields, he would sit under a tree, clasp his hands together, and thank the heavens and the earth, thanking the seeds he had sown. Whether it rained or shone, he appreciated the land and the life it provided. One day, someone asked him, "Why do you thank everything like this? There is really nothing so great to be thankful for." The farmer smiled and replied, "It is gratitude that helps me realize that this life is never meaningless. Every day, whether it is difficult or smooth, gives me the opportunity to live a meaningful life. I live each moment fully because I understand how precious life is." This teaching from the farmer truly reflects the Buddhist perspective on the value of the present moment and gratitude. When we practice gratitude, we not only cherish the good things but also see the value in the challenges and difficulties that life brings. To truly cherish life, we must live fully in each moment, not letting time pass in vain. In the Anguttara Nikaya, the Buddha taught that if each person were to live fully in the present, nothing could make them sorrowful or regret the past. What has passed cannot be changed, and what is to come is still unclear. Therefore, the appreciation of the present is to live in mindfulness and gratitude. An ancient story from the Buddhist tradition tells of a Zen master who lived a life of complete simplicity and peace. One day, he went into town and met a group of people. They saw him and asked, "Master, how can we live a peaceful and happy life?" The master replied, "Live with appreciation for each moment. Whether sitting, eating, or walking, if you truly awake to and appreciate what you are doing, you will find peace." People often think that happiness comes from great achievements, from accomplishments or fame. However, Buddhism teaches that true happiness is found in the serenity of each moment. Only when we live fully and mindfully in each second can we realize that life is an invaluable gift. Today's story has come to a close, but the journey of returning to oneself, the journey of growth and nurturing the soul, remains ever open. The 9 affirmations we have discussed together are not just beautiful words, but suggestions for you to practice in every moment of life. Life is a series of lessons that we must learn and transform each day. In every breath, in every step we take, we have the opportunity to cultivate wisdom and nurture compassion. As the Buddha taught, a peaceful mind creates a peaceful world. When your mind lets go of illusions, when you learn to trust and appreciate yourself, you will see that life becomes more peaceful and meaningful. Remember, true growth is not about chasing after fame, nor is it about seeking things outside of yourself. True growth is the journey back to your true nature. It is the awareness of each action, thought, and word. When you know how to live mindfully, to love, and to trust in yourself, you will find happiness right in the midst of this life. The year 2025 awaits you with countless opportunities. Yet, these opportunities only have meaning when you approach them with wisdom, patience, and compassion. Each day, remind yourself, I am the best version of myself. From there, every small step you take will contribute to creating a grand and meaningful life. Finally, I wish you all to maintain your trust in yourself, to appreciate every moment of the present, and to walk steadfastly on the path of spiritual development. Let the new year be the moment you begin a new journey, a journey of living mindfully, living peacefully, and living truthfully.